Huna Flash, we just finished an amazing weekend of ceremonies on Cozumel Island. The way I understand it, this is part one of a two-part series with the second part in Luxor, Egypt. Can you give us a bit more information about the ceremony and the second part?
Yes, so grateful to complete Cozumel Island, part one of the Lion Queen and the Giant Kings of Lemuria, where we gathered all of the sacred blessings and the stone of the sacred ancestors and the crystals and the waters of Atlantis, and we were able to contain these with our blessings to bring to Egypt part two of the Lion Queen and the Giant Kings of Lemuria. What we are doing and what we are called to do is to merge Egypt back to Atlantis and Atlantis back into Lemuria in these actions. And what this will do will return all of the ancestral historic back to undistorted light, back to Lemuria, back to a moment when first light was known and first light was undistorted. We go to the Valley of the Queens, and then we go to the Valley of Kings. We also travel to Alexandria for a special ceremony to collect, recognize, acknowledge, and realize the codes of the first century Islam, the codes of the first edition of the Quran, spoken in the understanding of Sata Allah, which means the God of breath, or the breath of God, excuse me, Sata Allah. In the first century of the Quran and Islam, the gathering place was known as Becca, which means the weeping, and Becca refers to the walled city, which is Petra, where the circle of the forbidden stone, the circle of the black stone crystal of 12 crystals was known as the forbidden circle. So we go to realize this and collect this information, and we complete our journey of part two of the Lion Queens and the Giant Kings of Lemuria on Mount Sinai, and with the monastery of St. Catherine's. Mount Sinai is also known as Katiri in the Lemurian language, which means the water mountain of mother. It's our understanding that in the early days of the goddess, the Sphinx was known to us as a lion queen before the patriarch. Yes, the kings are included, but at a later time. And so there were many changes, and we are returning to those changes to recognize them and return them back to zero distortion.